What's up, Klamath Falls? This is Dave.
Hey, what's up, Klamath Falls? This is Mike, and we got a special guest today. This is Rebecca, and Rebecca is here from justserve.org, and we're going to talk a little bit about her organization, what they do, and possibly how you can get involved and help out also. So, thanks for coming.
I'm really glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So, I did a little research on you guys on the internet, and fantastic organization from what I can tell. It's a great way to coordinate volunteers. Is it nationwide, globally?
It's actually both nationwide and international. So if you want to go big scope, we're in 14 countries around the world. We have 5 languages that are spoken from French, English, Hungarian, Spanish. I'm missing one, Polish.
Okay.
Oh, Portuguese.
Portuguese.
Thank you. And so that's the international scope, and we're still expanding because we've really seen the influence that it has in drawing communities together. And locally, I am a specialist for Just Serve over Klamath, Lake, and Modoc counties. So I get to focus on projects that are here locally, and that's my domain.
Okay.
And that has been a lot of fun. I've been serving for almost 2 years. I volunteer my time as well, and I go out in the communities, like to community events and multicultural fairs, and like Third Thursday, you can come and find us there this week, or actually
Okay.
this month, and I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
It's just a fun way to include the community and let people get to know their community better through service projects, and it's just we've got a huge variety of different things that we do.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, there is a very rewarding thing about doing community service work or, doing things to help folks in your community. So it's great. And honestly, until we met and talked, I did not know about justserve.org. So it's great to know that you're there. Um, so it's a free service, correct?
It's free for all organizations and for all participants. We want this to be something that removes barriers and opens doors for everyone to participate. We have a very simple process. If you are an organization that wants to include volunteers in your operation, you can go to justserve.org and scroll down, and it will have a site that says submit a project, and you can literally just put in what days, what your organization need is, and times, and then who to contact. And then that information comes to me. I review it and make sure that it's clear, that I have everything that's needed, and then I can post it. There are just a few things that we can't post. And I should mention those quickly because we will not post anything that requires a volunteer to handle money, that is for or against a political party, that is for or against um, any particular union. So we really want this to remain a neutral ground. We don't share religions. We really want this to be a place where, regardless of what your background or what your interests are, or what your talent and skills are, we want it to be open for everyone to be able to come and join together so that this becomes a unifying experience for everyone who participates. And so far, I've never had to turn a project away.
Great.
So that's
Great.
been really awesome. It's been really great.
And do you accept donations, or how does that work as far as?
No, we don't need donations.
Okay.
It really is. It's funded by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints
Okay.
around the world. And so on the back end, the church takes care of all of that funding, and then we volunteer our services and our times worldwide.
That's awesome.
From the top down. And so that's been really fun for me to be a part of. So thankfully, no money involved.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
It's rare nowadays.
Yeah.
So, but that's good. So, yeah, 600,000 volunteers I saw, or over 600,000.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So,
What's interesting to me, and I'm just going to be really honest and share a few numbers, but when I was first called, I was stunned to see how we don't have 1,000 volunteers officially here in Klamath Falls. But when I see the numbers that show up to an event, I go, oh, they're here.
Yeah.
They're here. So I may have one person sign up and 10 people come with that person for different things. So that happened last summer at an event we had in Malin, and I thought, well, there's 100 volunteers standing here. And only, you just get a couple, and they're like, yeah, I'm bringing my friends. I'm bringing my friends.
Yeah.
Adding in the numbers. And so it adds up. I think that's one of the nice things is when we do volunteer, you can bring the people you love,
Right.
the people you're comfortable with, bring your friends with you, and it becomes a project you can connect with and make memories around and really have fun with it.
That's great. That's great. Oh, you got any?
Oh, I was just surprised at the amount of homework I did do. I mean, there's 59 projects available within a 10-mile radius of Klamath, and just some of the names. Okay, um, hospice, Citizen for Safe Schools, the Treasures.
The
The
treasure
second,
store is
yeah,
pretty
second
cool.
hand, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff, I guess, it's in the woodworks you didn't really know about until digging in a little bit. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I really like about what Just Serve offers is that there are projects that they can do that are called remote. And if for example, you were homebound for whatever reason and you didn't have the capacity, physical capacity anymore to get out and go and plant a garden or clean downtown and the cleanup times or work out in the orchards, you can do projects from your home, and those could be international projects or they could be here from the United States. You get to pick and choose. We have things from the Smithsonian on here that if you come and you look, you can even do projects solo. Like specifically, this is one of the most unique ones. I thought even someone who is burned out from work and needs a break, there's a specific project where you can go and they ask you once a week to go to the same location and sit quietly by yourself and just note what wildlife you see and hear. And then you submit that back to their organization. They take that data and then they can have some feedback as to how the ecological systems are working in your area. So
Okay.
if you literally just need a time to sit by yourself and you think, I can't do one more thing, there's still a project for you.
Right.
And there are projects that you can bring home
Huh.
really quickly. Here's another example. My daughter is finishing up her college right now. She'll graduate in about a year, but she also served a service mission here in Klamath. And while she was here, she looked up for some service projects that were here in Klamath. So, like working at the senior center was one of them. But in addition to that, she wanted some things she could do quietly at home. There were refugee camps in Europe that are trying to take education back to the children. They needed music teachers, but the music teachers were having trouble. They're fumbling and dropping music instruments. It's not going to work this way. So they asked someone to please make them bags. And she's like, I can sew a bag. Can you sew a square? She's like, I can sew a square. And so literally they sent her the fabric. She sewed things together and then she sent them back. And now they have bags for the music teachers in Europe.
Wow.
So it can be just as, if you can dream it, you can do it. It's really diverse.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, apart from, we talked about no political organizations, no unions, no advocacy, those kind of things. Are there other limitations? I mean, is it something that, say, a elderly person is struggling at home to get groceries, or I mean, can those kind of people reach out, or
Absolutely. The oldest volunteer that I think that I've heard of here in Klamath was actually working with the food bank, and I have not personally met her. So this is just, I volunteer at the food bank as well. But she was the person they would give when they're doing their flyers and stuff and fundraisers. They would give her a stack, and her job was to put all the mailing
okay?
things on. And I don't honestly know if she's still with us, but she I think was in the 90s. So
Wow,
that's um, that's remarkable to me.
it is. It is.
I really think there's an opportunity um, to have. Maybe I can invite people who are listening to just reassess maybe our mindset and maybe think of ways that we can reach out to that one person, that one neighbor, and maybe someone will come to your mind. find ways to just start serving in little ways, even if it's not signing up for a big project and just serve. Maybe just changing and shifting our mindset so we can find ways to be just considerate of who's around us and what their needs might be. Even just today, I was working with my son. He does lawn care for for his business to earn money. And one of the women that we stopped at her home and were checking up with her, she shared a very small way that she had then served a caretaker of hers. So someone who is there is in a service role.
Yeah.
She then found a way to turn around and serve that person back. And I thought, I am continually amazed at the kindness of other people. And it wasn't something that had been solicited, but it was appropriate for the relationship and it was appropriate for the situation. And I just was touched by that. And I thought, it doesn't. So here she is as an older woman who you wouldn't think has a lot of resources, and yet she found a way to make a difference. So it's always within our reach.
Right.
Age and limitations, physical incapacities, don't limit us to be kind.
And there is something to be said if you've never done charitable work. I have to say, give it a try sometime because it's one of the most rewarding things you'll do. You might not feel that way going into it necessarily. Might seem like a burden or a bother, but I've done some charitable stuff in the past and still do some days, and it's you feel really good afterwards.
You do.
It's just and the world needs more of that these days. We need to look out for each other.
Yeah.
We really do. So
Can I share a little bit more about that?
absolutely.
Okay. So one of the things that really struck me when I was first asked to do this, I sat back and I thought, why do we do all this service? Like, really, what is this about? And I really wanted to see the impact of it. So I started doing some research, and you can go find these studies. Um, for example, Greater Good at Berkeley.org. So Berkeley's done a bunch of studies. I found things from different universities, from Brigham Young University, from Harvard, from a place in Spain, from Vancouver, BC. Different colleges and universities have done some really powerful studies. One of the ones that really struck me was called Sobriety Through Service, and it was done in Berkeley. And they found that if people who were in drug rehab, and they were hard stuff, so it was like Narcotics Anonymous, it wasn't just a small addiction, we're working with the harder ones. They found that if they were serving, if their participants would serve just once a week, just once, and that could be handing out a cup of coffee, and that's your job. Like, I have to be to this meeting, and my job is I'm going to hand you a cup of coffee when you walk through the door and say hello. So it could be small, but they're dedicated and they come and they show up. They doubled their sobriety rate in over a year. They were still sober, and they took the sobriety rate and they doubled it. And I thought, what would happen here in Klamath if we suddenly had people who were willing to stop looking in and start looking out and say, okay, what can I do? And let me find that small way. So I show up to my local, whatever your group is, you show up and you commit to serve in some way. That was huge to me to see that it's such an impact for such a small gift. They went further and they thought, why is this happening? What is literally happening? And some of the studies that they did show that neurologically, we're actually blessed when we serve. It's not just that we think we feel good, we actually do feel good. And it triggers the part of the brain that bonds us together as humans. So the same part of the brain is triggered that would be activated when a mother cradles her newborn baby. It's that bond right there. And when you have a healthy relationship with another human being, that bonds us together, right? As neighbors, as friends, you two have a friendship. And as we cultivate that part of our brain, we have less anxiety, we have less depression, we are able to overcome addictions more easily. We can do things that we would not have done. So another study that was done at Brigham Young University specifically looked at depression rates and anxiety rates for teens because they were noticing there was this growing disparity between healthy and unhealthy behaviors in teens. And they're like, what's making the difference? One of the things that they noticed, if a youth, and they're talking ages like 11 to 18. If a youth was committed to serving 1 to 2 hours a week over the course of, a year, their anxiety rates on a scale of like 1 to 3, their anxiety rates went down an entire point. And if that's 33%,
Oh, wow.
and that's a huge reduction. And then their depression rates also reduced almost the same amount. But in addition to that, they also show that they were more likely to choose pro-social behaviors. And in technical terms, what that means is they're not going to be violent. They're not going to be aggressive toward their peers at school or toward their neighbors. And so they're choosing behaviors that are appropriate for strengthening the community. And so I looked at those outcomes. They had better ability to communicate. It improves their communication skills, and it improves their whole self concept. Back in the day, I think we called it your self-esteem.
Right.
So, right? So there are so many gifts that come from serving. One other study I'll give you about people who were homebound that really blew me away. They had a group of people who had MS, who were not able to get out and go and do the things that they would normally do. And they trained them how to make one simple thing a month, and that is to make a support call to someone else. So they were given an assignment all they had to do once a month was to make this support call to someone else. 6 months, they came back and reviewed all the same data. And as they came back to it, what they found was again and again and again, they had like 78% of the people said they were happier, they felt better overall, they had less depression. But 100% of the volunteers on this particular study blew me away. 100% of them said, even though I still have MS, even though my situation has not changed, I feel better able and more capable of managing the situation I'm in. And I thought, isn't that power?
Mm-hmm.
They're more by learning to be empathetic for other people, by offering support to others, even if it's just a phone call. They're better able to handle their own life challenges.
And I drive around. Unfortunately, we have I feel like an abundance of homeless in town, and I don't see. I feel like there's just a lack of self-worth in so many of them that they just have given up on wanting to be a part of anything. And if they could just find a way to do something like what you're talking about, to give them a cause or a purpose. And it doesn't have to be anything exceptional, just that little step that somebody needs me, somebody is counting on me, somebody sees worth in whatever I can offer. I think that would just be a game changer for them if there was a way to reach out and help and get them to get started. But
I have dreams about that, but I have to talk with a few pastors who run the shelters, because I would love to see service opportunities brought into those shelters so that while they're there, they can participate in developing their own skills, finding a way to give back, because there are things that they can do while they're there. But I maybe should hold that conversation until I've actually talked with the people in charge.
because you never know the pathway that can put you on.
Yes.
It could be life changing. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but I mean, life changing as far as giving you a sense of self worth, but life changing as far as doors that it might open down the road. So, yeah,
I have a lot
bless
I
my
have
God
thought
that
a
I've never
lot
been
about.
in those shoes, but so I can't put myself there, but I can't help but think that it's just a little spark is all it would take to make a difference there.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, should I put some? I will. I am gonna say this. I'm gonna just own this as being me, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
This is not just her, but I really am gonna put this out there. One of the things that I imagine is that, say you've got the Thrive Center, which is a fantastic place. I volunteered there. My husband's volunteered there, and we love Pastor Kevin, and we love what they do there. What would happen if you had, when they're released in the morning and they go out, what would happen if you had tools at hand and somebody who was willing to volunteer their time to teach them how to build their own shelter? and their own, because they've got Oregon State has the funding now. They're handing out to any high school along with all the tools. They're funding it.
Really?
Yes, so that people can come and build their shelters. And they end up being sheds, a little bit smaller than this maybe, but then they have their own housing. They have their own address. They have their own abode so that they can now be, have a
Mm-hmm.
place when they're going to look for employment. And I thought, and then they have the skill of learning how to build something. Then if they want to work into KCC and get into their program
Sure.
and say, yeah, I've got a little bit of background, put me in your program. In 4 years, you've got a degree, you're a journeyman, and you're on your own. I mean, that would just be,
Oh,
so that's my dream. Like I think of
sure,
things,
sure.
I love what I get to see in the community, and I see all these pieces, and I think, oh, can we just plug them together, please? Because there's so much good.
Right.
There's so much good going on. I just want to connect pieces. So that's enough, Rebecca.
No, that's it's inspiring, and it's just a matter of finding the way. And
Yeah.
I have to apologize to folks out there. It just dawned on me that they started night flights this week.
It's not even night yet.
And they're
Right.
flying.
How rude.
But
So
people in Klamath understand.
yeah,
We all
yeah, it
live
might
here
get
and
a
we
little
know.
noisy, but we're gonna work through it. So no, it's a great. It sounds like a great organization, and we need that kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put it. That kind of organization in town, not just in town in general, but I mean, so many folks that talk about there's nothing to do in Klamath Falls. Well, you know what? Here's your opportunity. There's something to do. Get a hold of justserve.org. Get a hold of Rebecca or Ann, who's off camera here, and but get a hold of them. See what you can offer up, and you never know what it might be able to do for you in return.
On that website is very easy to navigate. Like I said, I didn't spend a couple minutes before the show, but I mean, there's all kinds of projects within your area, especially around here. 59 of them, so all kind of diverse, and you can definitely find something on there that kind of fits your niche.
Can I share a couple of projects specifically? Okay. So here's one. It's you'll find this one is over in Medford, but if you're interested in humanitarian work, there's a pear farm in Medford, and we get together throughout the year to take care of the orchard. We prune it, do different things, but right now it's harvest season, so we literally have millions of pounds of pears that will be picked. Some of them do come here to Klamath to the food bank, and the rest of them are used throughout the United States. So that will be a project that you can choose from. Another one, the senior center is always looking for volunteers there, either in the kitchens. We have an opportunity as well if you're interested in just mowing lawns, doing something simple where you don't want to necessarily, um, if you'd rather work independently and don't want a lot of connection, you can do things like the lawn mowing or the maintenance. They're always looking for that. And the last Saturday of every month, Wing Watchers is a really fun group to work with. They take care of the Linkville trails. They are cleaning up, and pruning. They've been cultivating. They planted seedlings last year, and so this is the second year of the tree's growth. So you can get together, and that's something you can take your kids on. It's something you can go down and enjoy the whole trail and just clean it up as you go. So there's just a huge variety. There's one coming up in November that you might want to put on your calendar on November 2nd, I believe. We're going to be putting together hygiene kits, and they are donated throughout the community. Um, we last year when we put together the hygiene kits, we put together 150 complete ones, and then we had extra stuff that we were able to donate, and that went to like Gospel Mission, it went to Thrive Church, went to Red is the Road to Recovery. They're not with us anymore. That organization is obsolete, but and then Safe Families for Children. So all four of those organizations were the recipients of the hygiene kits that we put together, and we're going to do it again this year. And in regards to Safe Families for Children, if you have any time to mentor a parent, what if it's once a month? Do you have time once a month to meet with a parent? or if you have something time once a week to meet with youth. Safe Families for Children takes families who are at risk um, of or homeless or at risk of becoming homeless or um, rather than getting involved with the state. So you have, here's an example of one family they had. It was a single parent, needed a kidney transplant, and had a child at home. What do you do with your child without family nearby? Well, the state, they didn't want the child to go to the state during this time. So Safe Families for Children does all of their own background check and everything on that, like that. They found a safe family for that child. And so while the parent was in the hospital getting the transplant and all of that rehab time, that child was able to continue going to their own school. They were able to continue to stay in their community. They were able to visit their parent, and they literally had a safe home while their parent got the necessary care and then could come back and reestablish their family. So, a variety of situations, but they're always, always, always serving families and trying to help families stay together and be stronger and overcome some of life's challenges that come their way.
Okay.
So that's another one that's on there.
Great. Great. Well, I might be interested.
Yeah, they
So,
need mentors. They really do. Um, some of the other ones that I have really enjoyed, um, for right now, Klamath Hospice has a volunteer opportunity where you go in and you get the life story of the person before they pass. And I have done a lot of family history work and have been able to reach out to different people in retirement centers and assisted living centers. And I have to say, if there's a day that you're feeling low, if there's a day that you're feeling down, if there's a day that you just want to know that you're actually loved and have any value as a human being, go to an assisted living center. I've never, and I mean this, I've never walked into a place and felt more accepted, more understood, and more loved with no strings attached and nothing wanted in return. I look at these people and they've lived my lifetime many times over through their own experiences, their children, their grandchildren, their great grandchildren. And so they've lived what I'm living and all of my messiness in my life. They've had those experiences. They go, oh, yeah, been there, done that. It's going to work out. Come sit down and tell me about it.
reassuring.
Reassuring. They
Yeah.
are fantastic. And as you gather their stories, as they share with you some of those hard things, you see the triumph of the human spirit. You see the triumph um, of good and what persistence looks like, what payout looks like as they talk about those family relationships and which ones hold together, even from the hardest places.
Yeah.
So I would just recommend that. So if there's a youth out there that's feeling low, please go visit an assisted living center. Sit down, have a few conversations with a few people. You'll find some connections.
Well, and it's just it's a human library.
Yes.
You know, if you're young and I don't know how to put it, but you don't know everything. It might hurt to hear that sometimes, but I mean, yeah, go talk to some seniors, some folks that have been around for a few decades, and there is a whole library of, for lack of a better way to put it, human history. And we every time one of those people passes on, we lose the volume of that book, and you don't recover that unless somebody else has listened and heard that story and can continue passing that along. And I had an uncle I was really close to that was in the D-Day invasion in World War II. And so some of the story, I would just sit and be fascinated as a kid listening to the stories that he would tell about that. And some of them I'd heard 10, 20 times probably, but I wanted to hear it again. You just kind of get lost in the moment, you know, especially as a kid, your imagination is so crazy that you could almost put yourself there. I mean, not in a bad way, but you know, you could kind of visualize the story as he told it. And so, yeah, I can't recommend enough. If you have grandparents or anybody, or go to a senior center and talk with them, because there's some amazing stories to be told.
I love that. I have a friend. I have a couple of friends that I stay in contact with, and as I have listened to her and helped her gather her life story together, her experiences raising her children have helped me be a better parent. Because there are times when I think maybe I'm being too hard, maybe I'm expecting too much, or maybe I'm being too easy. And when you hear their experiences and their feedback, it puts things in perspective of what real life is like without all the trappings of modern day. And you go, okay, these are the core principles that really drive a family. These are the core principles that make a human being happy. These are the lessons that last. And so um, those have been really helpful for me. One other, um, one other thing I'd like to say in hopefully to motivate people to go serve, and whether it's through Just Serve or something else, is I really feel like service is a leveling ground. It's an equalizer. One of the things I see is that when people come together and we're serving, whether it was building the playground out at Moore Park, or it was working with City Serve and doing cleanup downtown, or it's working out and doing cleanup in Bonanza or Malin or Chiloquin, wherever we've been, I watch people with completely different backgrounds. And it's like you said, each person is their own encyclopedia of life, right? Millions of experiences packed into one brain, one heart. And so when we have a chance to get together, we just serve. That's it.
Right.
Just serve. And you start to love one another. We build bridges, and it doesn't matter where we've been, what we've done. We're just there, and we're there to love. We're there to build. We're there to create something better than was there before. And then when we walk away, we've got a new friend, and we know who's there with us, and they know us, and we know their heart, and they know ours. And to me, that's community.
I've been in some crowds that I thought I have nothing in common with any of these people until you spend time with them. We're all human.
Yeah.
You know, we all there's something in common with everybody, in my opinion, to some extent. You know, some greater than others, but I mean, the bottom line is we're all floating around on this little marble out in the middle of space, and
For a reason.
we all have yeah, absolutely, absolutely, but we all have something in common. So,
Yes.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I love that about serving. I would let me share one other aspect that I really am delighted for Just Serve in its growth. One of the things that we have looked at is the positive impact that it has on youth. And because of that, we want to start youth Just Serve clubs in the high schools and the schools at whatever level. And we have T-shirts for them, and they have all the bylaws written out. So it's very simple. So anyone can come and have that be included in their school clubs. And the thing that they found about that is so often you might have a clique of, oh, well, we're going to be, the key club people because we've got these great academic achievements. Well, what about the people who have good hearts but don't necessarily have that academic level? Just Serve opens it up to everybody. Just Serve opens up service to everyone in the school, and it allows people, again, to build bridges, to recognize the humanity in each other, and then find a way to build up humanity around them. So I'm really excited to be able to bring that to Klamath, and that's something that we're working on. One of the other things that I'm reminded of is we have a sweet lady here in town. Her name is Reina, and she is starting to translate all of our posts into Spanish. So we're not there yet, but we're working on it. And I wish I spoke fluently, but I don't yet. So we've got things in the works so she can come in and help me translate everything so that this can be opened up to our entire community, literally.
great,
Because right now we've still got that language barrier, and we want to get rid of that.
yeah,
So just a couple of things that we're working forward.
it's great, doing great things.
I'm
Yeah,
trying. One day at a time. Oh, if anyone wants to find us quickly, you can go to justserve.org. Also, for those of you who are a techie, we do have a free app. You can get it off of on your iPhone or your Android, either one. and it's justserve.org. You'll see a nice blue heart with a heart circle around the outside of it. And that app will help you find opportunities here locally or internationally, whatever is your preference. And you can use it quickly, whether you're on the computer, at home, on a drive. I even have friends who will look up projects before they go to a location, and they make service in that area part of their experience. So they get to know the locals and they get to know what the community's like. So they'll just look it up, they'll plan their vacation, and that's one of the things that they go and do. So
Okay.
fun ways. There are lots of ways to use it.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
That's really good to know. Well,
I was just gonna. So I moved to Beaumont, Texas area for about 6 years, and I guess one of my welcome moments is little storm came in called Harvey, and so that was a big wake up call for me personally. Our house was fine, but we were definitely affected by it, and it was 6 days of you don't go outside. It wasn't horrible, wasn't a typical storm, but um, just 5 miles away, we were going to church at the time over there, but it was 2, 3, 4, 5 feet of water in people's houses, and you either dealt with the insurance companies or rip it out and put stuff in by yourself and then recoup it on the back end. So that's how I met this family. Still in touch with them. But yeah, we went in there and ripped everything down from about 4 feet to the studs and dried everything out and put the new kitchen in. And
Wow.
um,
That's huge.
yeah, I'm mirroring everything that you said, but yeah, just the empathy and the getting to know people and, hey, come on over, help me. Their pizza, turned into, hey, come on over, we're having dinner, and just stuff like that. It's community.
It's community,
Yeah.
and you watch out for each other,
Yeah.
and you take care
Yeah.
of each other. One of the ways that they use Just Serve, I'm sorry, I'm just going to say, I'm sorry that you had to do that, and thank you for being one of the ones to go help
Oh,
to rebuild, because
yeah.
that was, from a distance, that's still overwhelming. So I can't imagine having been there. But one of the ways that I was struck by Just Serve when they used it last year in Florida, a group of people were just out doing their thing, trying to help the neighbors after the flooding, but they noticed that a couple of people that they were supposed to connect with hadn't connected at all. And so they went to check out their street, and sure enough, they're flooded. They're totally locked in, and they've lost all services. So there was no way for them to connect anyone outside that area. And so one of the friends just put it on Just Serve, said, hey, if you've got a boat, meet me at this area, at this street. And then they, took the boats off and they started paddling. And they went down the street where their friend lived. And in the meantime, they didn't just help rescue their friend. They were able to get multiple boats through the Just Serve app. Multiple people showed up. They knew what streets had no connection and hadn't been reached yet. And then they started doing their own rescue from that point on. And I thought about that, and I thought, it's not something that we ever want to do. We never want to be that person or that in that situation. But if we can use the app that way, if we can use it in times of need and response, that's what it's for. This last fall, we did another project in connection with the angels. My brain, just love me that I have the brain that I have. Relief Angels, and working with Relief Angels, they had people coming in to clear out debris from the fire, and all of that required lodging. And so some churches were able to up and provide that. And what they ended up needing, they got everything ticked off, but they're like, we can't feed our people. So we put a little thing on Just Serve for them, and asked for drivers because they needed additional drivers to go out through the burn areas. They had already had backhoes and excavators. They had all the heavy equipment lined up. They just literally needed people to drive it off the mountain and bring it into town to the recycling. So we put that on Just Serve, and then they still needed meals. And so we were able to put that out, and another church organization was able to step forward and feed their 35 volunteers for a week. And because of that, with I think this is on Relief Angel's website. I think for the price of $3,000, they cleared over 150,000 pounds of metal,
Wow.
burned cars, everything, all brought in, off the mountain. And so I look at that and I think that's a tremendous work. And they worked nonstop, just all day with those excavators. They've got, if you go to Relief Angel's website, they've got video footage of all of that up there. And I was just so touched by how many people it took to support their crew that came in, but also how much good that happened. Because if it had not been for those people volunteering their time, the Golden Fire, that entire area would still be littered with burned rubble and with dead cars and just junk that's no longer usable. And this way, they were able to come in, bring it through the recycling, recoup that money to pay for the cost for the excavators. They were very wise about how they really used it, how they used the funding. And so, really, for a very small upfront cost, they were able to do so much. But it took a lot of support from Klamath citizens. So, just lots of opportunities to do good.
And that's something he and I have mentioned and noticed in the past, and quite often is that this community, when there's a need, Klamath people at Klamath County pull together. It's a great community for that. So I'm grateful to live here.
So,
So yeah,
Well, and especially in natural disasters, you know, you know firsthand if you do help, but fires or floods or whatever it is, like you said, you can either sit there in your house and worry and what's next, or go out and help people, get your mind off your own stuff and help each other. I mean, it's more adventurous when you're ripping up drywall. I would much rather do that than sit there and go, oh, what am I gonna do, and not worry about your own.
get the sledgehammer and just take out that
yeah,
anxiety. Just
Yeah.
clear out the wall,
Uh,
and something good's gonna happen.
it is, yeah, it's fun. It's release. It's relieving tension. You're helping people, and like you said, it's either doing that or making food bags for the people that are helping. There's an endless. Once you're at that point, there's an endless need for volunteers.
Yes.
So
And there's such a variety. So I I want to thank for any organization that we have hosted in the past or that we will yet host. I want to thank them for the good that they do. Our community would not be as good as it is if it weren't for the hearts and minds of so many people in so many different ways that reach out again and again and again every day. Whether the volunteers show up or not, they're still there. They're still going forward and they're still striving to make a difference. And that to me is commendable. And that's something that I hope that we value as a community and that we'll jump in and be part of that change.
yeah.
Because we live in the communities that we build. That's just
Well, that's a great way to put it.
we do. We live in the communities we build. And so the better our connection with each other, the greater our understanding of each other's heart and our mind and our will, the more unity we have, the more we'll be able to move our community to a better place. And so I really want to see that happen. And if it just takes one step, one conversation, one project at a time, we can build that understanding and we can build those friendships so that when push comes to shove, Mike and Dave can come knock on my door and say, Rebecca, I need this. And I'll say, okay, I'm there. And I got you, you know? And we do that for each other. This is what we're here for because we don't live as islands.
No,
We're meant to be interdependent. And this is a beautiful way to do that.
absolutely. Yep.
So justserve.org is just a tool for all the goodness that people already have in their heart.
All right. I don't think I have any more questions. Or no.
no, I think that was excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, both of you. It's
Yeah.
been
For your
great to
time.
be here.
Yeah.
It's been an eye opener for me. I'm grateful to have people like you in the community, and Ann, who's still off camera, but she's here, trust me. But no, very appreciative, and we need more folks like you and justserve.org, not just in Klamath Falls, but in the world. You know, it's we need that. We need that sense of community. So anyway, thank you for what you do, ladies. Thank you for being on the show. We appreciate you being here, and hopefully this reaches some folks out there, and some good comes of it. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right. I think we'll